Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to TRACKILICIOUS. Hope everybody's doing well. We are joined here today by the one and only Brad Sievers. Brad, welcome. How are you doing today?
Doing really well. Thank you for having me here, Eric. Normally I'd be out there on track with everybody else, but some technical issues are allowing me to be here with you in the booth this week.
I would love to be on track with you as well here at the Charlotte Road Course, but hey, we get to do this fun thing instead and join our community for some awesome racing here today. Brad, I've never driven Charlotte before. How is this track?
This track is just one of the most challenging road courses I could say I've driven. Not necessarily because it's anything too complicated, but there's so much elevation change in the infield that can catch you out, on top of all of the corners being way tighter, because this is unlike a road course built inside a much smaller track with basically the same idea.
Okay, so the size you're saying is really a part of the challenge itself, in that it's tighter in a smaller oval. So I'm curious to know how our grid will deal with it. And as we talk about that, why don't we hop in and see what's going on out there. We have a handful of cars, trying to find the number, 23 cars here today, Brad, and topped by Jakob White right now.
Yeah, 15.8 is really, really fast for this track. I know I was talking to Jacob Cunningham before the race, and he was looking for anything in the 16s to be really happy, so to pull a 15 is a very impressive lap.
Jakob is one of our younger drivers, and he has shown some immense talent, although his consistency has definitely come into question in the past. We've seen him do some great things, and we've seen him do some not so great things. And I remember he has won a championship here at TRACKILICIOUS, and everybody was just telling him, you gotta think about the championship as a whole. You're not trying to win the race, you're not trying to win the corner, you're not trying to win the position, you're trying to win the championship. So be smart. You don't have to go in for every kill and every, little bit of overtake, and I think you can do it. As he pops into chat there, being pretty content with his pole position. Provisional pole, we should say.
Yeah, there's just about 10 seconds left in the session. I'm seeing a lot of people over the course of the session putting in really good laps, but getting caught out a lot. I feel like that's the thing that's going to be the most important thing about this race, especially, like you said, is the consistency at this track, where there are a lot of corners that will trip you up, and being able to keep your car pointed in the right direction is going to be key here.
What are some of the critical points in what we're gonna do today? So, you know, again, I'm really unfamiliar with Charlotte. It does have a chicane, as does a bus stop, I should say, as does Daytona, and I feel like a lot of people put a lot of attention onto the bus stops, considering the kind of do or die-ness of the curbs there.
Yeah. So the bus stop is actually one of the more easier corners on the track. It is a very fast section, and it's a prime place, one of the best places on the track for overtaking with the run you get out of the corner before. But when it comes to just driving the track itself, the bus stop is one of the easier corners on the track.
So where would you say is the most challenging part then?
Let's see here. For me, I'd say that the more difficult corners are T6, turn 6 and turn 7. Going through the undulation as you go through there, up the hill from turn 5. That's probably the part of the track that is most likely to catch somebody out and spin the car. One of the other things, too, that doesn't really show is the exit of turn 2. With the way that corner is, it's very fast, but it tightens on the exit, and that wall comes at you very fast. Mm-hmm. You're gonna see a lot of people probably give it a high five as they go through.
Well, we have a couple of drivers in chat here. I know Travis Bartlett, who is really happy and proclaiming his presence on TV with Mom. Hey, Travis, hope you're doing well. And I'm trying to see, Bronson Turner, is also racing. So thank you for the view there, Bronson. Hope you're doing well. Good luck to you as we get prepared here as the cars are lining up on the grid, getting ready for some immense action. So, Brad, 60 minutes, random safety car. You've been a part of this. You've been on the grid. How has it been for you? How do you like the format?
I really, really enjoy the format. I think it's something that brings a different edge to all the other series I've done, where, you know, either have scripted yellows or no yellows in GT cars, or some of the oval series I've done where the yellows just occur naturally. The unpredictability of it is really one of my favorite parts about it, and being able to like predict it a bit, or being able to get your strategy in around it, can make or break races at times. And I love that element of strategy that you can have with trying to game it and trying to work around it without knowing exactly when it's going to come.
Yeah, I've heard some complaints, you know, every time you do something a little different, some people like it, some people don't. But from a commentator's perspective, the action has been there. It's been so fun to watch. And sometimes when you think someone's out of it and out of the picture and out of the race, they come back and really just bring things back to life. It livens up the end of the race, the middle of the race, wherever the safety car is. So far, most of the safety cars have come out at the middle, pretty close to the middle, but it has caught out some of the drivers in pitting early, pitting late. You know, the fuel calculator said that they had enough but didn't. And while we continue to get ready for the start of the race, I do quickly want to go through and talk about our grid here. So I'm just going to go through and call out who we have here. Jakob White in pole position, being able to secure that, so congratulations to him. Let's see if he's going to be able to finish it, even though he started it. We have Jacob Cunningham, Eric Eng, Joel Bandera, Josh Willis, Benjamin Smalling, Jace Wright, Bronson Turner in chat, Cody Wassim, Will Brunner. Then it was Colin Johnson, Gavin Cambray, Turner Johnson, Nate Hutchinson, Morgan Stringer, Jordan Smith, Glad Pinio, Adam King. Travis Bartlett is actually on the grid. He's back home. Kyle McDonald, Jacob Church, Mark Matlock, and Joe Harkness all the way in the back. So pretty good grid, a variety of manufacturers out there. Love to see the diversity Acura, McLaren, Porsche, BMW on pole. And I believe that is green. I apologize, I missed the green. And we are racing. I thought it was a full formation lap, but apparently it isn't. And it looks like Jacob Padberg does get off to a fantastic start here, having Jacob Cunningham just behind.
Yeah, you get such an advantage being on the inside at the start with the way iRacing does green flags through that chicane, that it naturally kind of makes the field to turn one.
So it does look like everybody's off to a fairly decent start. Nothing too crazy happening so far, but I do have to say a bunch of people trying to who are in chat saying they wanted to be in this race. Tamazic unfortunately not being able to make it. We're sad too. Brad and I are here commentating. We're missing our trackside reporter, as Tamazic has done for us in the past. But one person who is not upset about the situation right now is Jakob Padberg, securing that P1 so far and doing a good job staying ahead.
Looking down through the field a little bit here, there's some pretty good runs I'm seeing people are getting, but I haven't been seen anybody yet make a move stick. Oh, and somebody spins through the final chicane there. Morgan Stringer, it looks like.
Let's have a look. Oh, it looked like it was a bit of a contact from behind. Stringer being turned around on the infield now. Looked like there was a McLaren of... Who is that? Is that Pinio? Yeah, looks like it was the McLaren of Pinio, carrying quite a bit of damage. Yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah, that's like I said earlier. The final chicane and then the bus stop chicane on the backstretch are two of the best overtaking spots on the track, and they just encourage people to make moves. The way they open up into them, but when you get all these cars so close together early on, mistakes can happen.
Yeah, that is truly unfortunate. Really hoping for that to be a bit more control, but alas, it is racing. Everybody's really trying to occupy the same stretch of tarmac, the ideal racing line for people like you, Brad, who I know have seen be quite fast in the past before. You would take the ideal line. You know, I float around the left of it, the right of it, a little bit more left, a little bit more right, lose tenths in every single corner, and really try to find what stroll I'm going on and eventually find my way back. But these guys doing a fantastic job. Cunningham still up there, but look like Padberg has put quite a bit of gap of 1.7 seconds to Cunningham, and that is saying a lot. You bring friends with Jacob, that is quite an impressive feat.
Oh, we just had another touch. Down in the back, looks like Benjamin Smalling, Coda Wassam, all tangled up right there, right in turn 6.
Having a look behind.
Just a move where the gap closed, basically. Coming into the corner and thought a gap was there and just closed up right in front of him.
Sheesh. Well, hopefully they do get themselves righted so we can have some good racing towards the end.
Oh, another car backwards in the final chicane as well. It's Porsche. I didn't quite catch it.
I'm going to give myself a break on incidents and watch some good racing up here. Miss Cowmaster, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. How are you doing? What do you stream? Do you race? Do you watch? How are things going as we continue to watch Jacob Cunningham? It is going to be a difficult one with Jacob Cunningham and Jakob Padberg being right behind each other. It's going to be a fun stream, but we'll see who prevails. Which of the versions of Jacob are going to win this race. You know, while Jacob hasn't quite had the pace to be a P1 runner in multiple races in the past, his strategy, his patience, his consistency and execution has been second to none. He has made wins out of no-win scenarios, and it's been super impressive to watch.
Yeah, and I know one of the things he was most excited about coming into this race was after last week at Road Atlanta, he said the car was way more stable here at Charlotte. So while he might not have the ultimate pace, he's way more comfortable in the car this week.
What? You need stability to drive a race car? No, say it ain't so. For those that don't really understand the details of it, right? Stability brings confidence. The more confident you are in your car, the more you can push it to its limits with less risk and fear of running into things like curbs and walls and other people. That's what brings the speed. The stability brings the confidence brings the speed.
Yeah, and one of the things, especially here at this track, is just having the confidence to be able to, you know, make moves on the brakes or anything like that when you do get opportunities. So.
And we're watching Travis Martin here challenging the Mustang of Adam King, only less than a second behind. Now, we are on the inside, and I'm trying to personally get myself oriented here. Never watched Charlotte before. Obviously, it's a NASCAR track, but it does have the road course on the inside, as we have the lovely view. Oh my goodness. Joe Harkness
right there. Yeah, just twitched off that curve, and it's one of the things that's easy to do because you're going up the hill there.
And that's the thing we were talking about earlier. Stability, confidence, consistency. And it just seems like lost the rear end a bit, turned in too early, and just could not find the balance that Joe was looking for. But thankfully, back on track, back moving forwards, and as kind of weird as that sounded, with Benjamin Smalling now just behind. But looks like Benjamin's a lap down, so I would guess that Benjamin has pitted already to repair some damage from earlier. While that's being said, we have Bronson Turner challenging Josh Willis? No, Gavin Cambrai just up ahead.
Yeah, it looks like he was actually able to get through in that corner. Ahead of you. Oh, you're just watching the replay. And it was a very good move. Very, very nice, clean move into turn one there. And was able to get it and move on. But Gavin has not let him go yet. Gavin is hanging on there.
And that's not the only grouping of cars that are close by. We actually have the likes of Colin Johnson chasing down Will Brunner. Now, both are running the Corvette, with the Corvette of Jace Wright just up ahead. Their iRating not too far from each other. No, that's a safety rating, I think. Both A-class drivers, 4.99 to 4.44. This is
2.2 iRating to 3,000, so not terribly far off.
Yeah. I know we mentioned last week, or in talking to Colin last week, Colin in contention for the win. Or did he win? I know he was on the podium at the very least. I don't remember if he won or not, but Colin's super fast and drives cars in real life, so he's been at a track day of ours before. For those that don't know, TRACKILICIOUS runs real life track days as we're getting ready for the season here. Super excited about it, and yeah, really looking forward to it as the sim racing is paired with the real racing. We don't really race, we track our cars, and there's a fine legal detail on there that we have to be careful of not to call it racing, because it isn't wheel-to-wheel action. But fun stuff on track, get to feel the G's and smell the smells and hear the things. So for those of you who are in the Midwest area, we run our track days around Michigan at Waterford Hills, at Gingerman Raceway, and at Grattan this year. Got a couple of track days there as well.
Yeah, one of the things I like to do in the across the summer is I actually autocross with my car, which a little step down, but still just as fun and a lot more approachable for most people.
Do you have a hypercar, a GT3 or a GT4?
I actually have the super rare touring car from Subaru, known as the Outback Wagon.
Oh, yep. rare extraordinaire, for sure.
One thing I did want to mention while we were going was that Cody Wassum has been through the pits already. And Glenn Pineo just went into the pits as well. So I'm not sure if maybe this is some early levels of strategy, if they figure something out there, or if these are early pits for damage. So something to keep in mind is we're going to get people shuffled around the track now with people having to come in and out of the pits.
Yeah, something that was impressive last week was Cody got into an incident very early in the race. I think it was lap 2 or 3. Critical damage. What's it called? Toe is the word I'm looking for. Toe back to pits, and then came back, drove all the way up into 8th position, I think, which was incredible in a 30-plus car grid. Hello, wife. How are you doing? Welcome. And we got a couple of subs as well. Bronson, thank you so much for the sub, man. What a legend. 7 months and almost an entire year, Brad. 7 months. And Adam Strange with another Prime sub. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. And also 8 months. That's almost a year, Brad. Almost a whole year of Prime subbing.
Getting up there. That's a lot of dedication there. He's really really love to see stuff like that when you're supporting your local creator like us.
Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and you do that as well, Brad. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the community that you run while we watch Josh Willis challenging our Prime subscriber, Bronson Turner. Josh, he's a Prime subscriber. He has subscribed to our channel. Let him be. No, I'm kidding. Everybody's even on track. We have no preferences to people on track. I mean, I personally could be bought, but then again, I'm not on track, so.
Adam goes for a move here on Jacob Church into the chicane on the backstretch. This is something I've been keeping an eye on for the past lap or two as Adam has been running him down. I was able to complete that move. But yeah, the community I run a community called the Online Racing Association. We are primarily a Forza Motorsport league. We run events every Thursday, Saturday, and then we also are known in the Forza community for running our larger endurance events. So we run every year. We run a Daytona 24. We run a Le Mans 24. Can't do that. The ACO would get mad at us if we did that. So we run 24 hours of racing within the French foothills, and we also, the race coming up here in just over a week, we run a Sebring 12-hour, as those are our 3 marquee events.
That's fantastic.
So, for that event,
sorry,
yeah.
and I hear you guys have tons of participants, right?
Yeah, so for that Sebring race coming up here in just over a week, we are currently at 160 teams entered, with about 540 drivers across those teams.
That is absolutely wild. Unreal. Fantastic. Yeah. Jorge, welcome. How are you doing? One of our track participants and recently taking up sim racing. Welcome, Jorge. Hope you're doing well. Just talking about communities and different things that communities do, which is nice. Loads and loads of options for people out there between Forza, between iRacing, between ACC, between LMU. I mean, I think we're spoiled for choice in a bit of a golden era of sim racing, I would say, as we do see some fantastic driving here between Nathan Hutchison, Colin Johnson, and Will Brunner chasing each other on the infield here. Hutch looking quite good, keeping good pace with the cars in front, now having a good draft on the oval. We're gonna look at that shiny, lovely looking McLaren to see how much draft he can get, and if there's anything he could do, Colin Johnson potentially looking on the inside but not quite having it, and going through now on the bus stop back onto the oval to see if there's any continued advantage.
It looks like he's really content just watching Will and Colin right now and waiting to see how that plays out. I don't think he feels like he's really losing any time right now, and I've been in that situation before a lot where you just kind of accept that I'm just going to wait for them to make a mistake and capitalize on that. Just to try to make a move at times. So
what is really, really interesting is that we have Josh Willis into the pits now. With only 14 minutes into the race, that is really odd. I'm curious to know what these guys are planning. Quite a few people have pitted already so far. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, plus Josh being the 7th, have already pitted, and we're not even close to halfway through the race. There's 15 minutes left to get to the halfway point. So interesting strategy, and we'll see how that plays out for Josh Willis.
Yeah. If it is anything to do with those, maybe early incidents, and they're coming in to just take it. Looks like our yellow flag has came out. So that's really thrown a big wrench into everything with it coming out this early into the race. Because I'm not sure a lot of cars can make it to the end from here. So now comes the question, do you pit now and just come in, get some tires, get what fuel you can, and try to fuel save to the end? Or now do you stay out, take the track position, and just try to pit later?
Now, wait a second. So a couple of cars, Turner Johnson, Cody Wassett, Joe Harkness, Josh Willis, Glenn Pinio, Benjamin Smalling, and Jordan Smith all pitted. Turner Johnson will be, well, we saw a yellow flag, but I don't think the safety car is out yet, is it?
I'm not actually. Let me see if I can find it on track.
I see the yellow. I don't see the...
It's just sitting in... Oh, there it goes. It's leaving the pits now.
Okay.
It was just sitting in the pits with its lights on for the longest time, so...
So people...
Probably waiting for the leader to get around the track, possibly?
There we go. Gets the leader. Now, Brad, inform me, okay? So people are probably aware at this point in time that the safety car is out. At the start of the pit lane, are people deciding to go into the pits or not, or do you just tuck in behind the safety car and take a pit later?
So, once the yellow comes out, you have to just catch up to the safety car there. The way it works is that the pits close as soon as that happens. So, what's going through your head right now is you're trying to do a lot of math. You're trying to do the mental math of, can I save enough fuel if I pit right now to make it to the end? If I stay out, is the track position worth it? If I'm far enough back in the field, if I'm 10th place or worse, I probably pit no matter what. Come in, get tires, get what fuel I can, and then make the decision afterwards of either I try to fuel save to the end and get around it that way, or I run it super hard and come in and get a splash of fuel later, because everybody's going to have to pit anyways.
So it's going to be quite an interesting strategy play here, considering that the safety car has come out relatively early, 18 minutes into the race of a 60-minute race, and it's with limited fuel. I think 60 liters is what the championship's limited to, right? So that's where you really do get the issue of wondering whether you're going to make it or not for laps.
Yeah, it cuts it very close. I think on average most of the cars can do about 35 minutes on fuel. So we're right outside of that window, I think, for most of the cars. So that's where you're gonna have a lot of people doing a lot of internal debating right now, and it's gonna be very, very interesting to see what kind of strategies comes out of this, because if you're farther back in the field, do you send it and stay out for the track position? You're coming to pit anyways, so be very interesting. It looks like most of the front of the field is staying out.
Jacob and Jakob are out. Eric Eng out. Most of the rest of the cars looking like they're choosing the pit option. So correct me if I'm wrong. This means they're going full fuel and then fuel saving to the end, right? Those that went into the pits.
Possibly. There's two thoughts here. you either come in if you think you can fuel save and make it to the end, and you take all the fuel your car can possibly take, and you are full safe for the rest of the race. Or you come in, take all the fuel your car can get, take tires, because I've heard a lot of drivers talk about this track eating up tires, and then you're out there and you're full push until the last 10 minutes or so when you come in and dive in for a splash of fuel.
Thank you so much for the follow, Kairos Gaming 0. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're here and enjoying the iRacing that we've got going on. I am joined by Brad Savers here in Charlotte in the road course. It's a 60-minute race. We are 20 minutes in, and our random safety car is out, and having to put all of our drivers under pressure to make the decision on whether they're going to pit or not, given that they are limited to 60 liters of fuel. So as we were talking about just a moment ago, the decision is pit, full fuel, tires, run it to the end, pit again for fuel, pit, full fuel, no tires potentially, fuel saving, take it easy, don't try not to pit again, or stay out and just pit later. So 3 potential strategies from our technical correspondent, Brett here, the iRacing expert amongst us, as I've only probably been in an iRacing car maybe 10 times total. I do enjoy the game, but just never had time to run it. But yeah, 3 different strategies here, which is super exciting, because for me, that just means some people who are fast might make the decision, and some people who are slow might make the right decision and end up in some pretty spicy spots. I think there's going to be some great racing towards the end of this race here, Brad.
It's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out, because like you said, we've got people doing different things now. The leaders, their job is pretty simple. They're going to stay out probably for another couple minutes, and then they're going to dive into the pits probably around halfway before the field gets too strung out, because they're going to want to pit and be able to get out into relatively clean air to try to make up that time they're losing not pitting under the yellow. But you also have people who stayed out up in front of people who pit. So you're going to have tons of battling partway through the pack now of, you know, people who maybe are a little faster than the others, having to pass people who they're normally slower than them. So it's a very tight track, and that may cause issues as people maybe get a little too aggressive on this restart, and it's something we're just going to have to keep an eye on.
And our trackside correspondent, Steven Tomasic, coming in saying, if the drivers can save fuel massively, he thinks they can make it to the end. Calculations done on pit lane. Steven Tomasic claiming that the rest of the race is open for a single pit stop that just went down. That is a bold call. We will have to wait and see if it comes through, as our drivers are lining up in zipper formation, getting ready to get back on race pace. We are looking, adrenaline pumping back up. You know, it's kind of tough, Brad, sometimes, you know, as you're relaxed a little bit. We've seen some people have issues towards the end of the safety car here, given that, you know, you lose focus a little bit. So this is going to be interesting, hoping that everybody gets out of this cleanly and is able to resume and run their optimal strategy.
A lot of it is breaking that rhythm. You get in such a rhythm when you're just out there lapping the car that the yellow coming out kind of throws some people off and gets in their head a little bit. So getting back to that rhythm and being able to get back to that quickly is really going to be key here.
Got another follow here on Twitch, Jester88. Thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're doing well. We are about to resume our 60-minute race with only 36 minutes remaining, as our randomly deployed safety car is about to go in. 3 different strategies: pit, fuel, come back, save fuel, pit, fuel, tires, go for another pit at the end and see if you can just quickly splash and dash, or don't pit and take advantage of track position and then just have a splash and dash at the end. We're gonna see multiple people have already pitted. Top 3 have stayed out. So we have the likes of Jakob Padberg, or Jacob White, I should say, who is in the lead without a pit. We have Jacob Cunningham in second without a pit. Eric Eng in third, no pit, right? And then the rest of the cars with the no pit, all the way down to the likes of Turner Johnson, who is the first pitted car. And that is what we're going to be watching. We're going to be watching Turner Johnson versus the likes of Jacob Cunningham and Jacob White to see who gets the better strategy.
They come through the chicane now, getting ready to go back green, and there's the flag. So that green flag now is you're going to see everybody filter through this chicane. They're already 2-3 wide on the front stretch. Looks like they back out of that. Go back down to 2 wide. It's first lap, probably. Tons of people trying to get back to where they were before the caution. And trying to get around people or trying to make their strategy work.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be an exciting part of the race as Adam King looks ahead at Gavin Cambrai to try and find a position. Adam going narrow. I should say Adam staying on the optimal line. Looks like Gavin going for a bit of an adventure, looking for a safe rejoin there. Loads of position loss. That is going to be suboptimal, let's say. Oh my goodness, Cody Watson making a mistake there.
There was just a big stack up coming back onto the banking. Jacob Church had a bit of a non-perfect run back onto the banking, and everybody behind him had to check up to account for that. So it's like everybody's going in the same direction still. So definitely a close one.
Yeah, Coach Esther88. Yeah, we have the event. Thank you, Steven, for posting it on Twitch there and doing the Discordy things. It looks like you gave them all the information. So thank you so much for that. It is open for anyone to join. We do have one more race left in the season. However, we're going to be firing this back up very shortly for some more exciting iRacing here at TRACKILICIOUS on Thursday. So watch out, look out, everybody. There is going to be more fun to be had. And talking about fun, these non-pitters of Adam King being pressured by the pitter of Turner Johnson and Josh Willis and Bronson Turner. Josh Willis in a bit of a McLaren sandwich here at Charlotte.
Yeah, and Josh Willis was one of the few guys who was able to get in before that caution came out too. So he's going to be on that fuel save strategy if he's trying to make it to the end here. It looks to me like he's pushing quite hard, so he might be planning on taking another pit towards the end. But, backstretch. Looks like and Joe Harkness already towed back to the garage. Or Gavin Cambrai, I apologize. But yeah, big crash as they were coming off of the banking of NASCAR 2.
Oh my goodness. What happened?
Oh, that's a weird one. It looks like Gavin maybe thought he had the run and thought he was going to go up the track and try to dive down beneath him, but he was going to always stay down there and let him pass on the high side. Just a sloppy situation, but I don't really know if anybody's necessarily to blame there. Maybe just a bad prediction.
It may have also been losing of the rear end of the Acura there. It looked like there was a sudden dash to the left, so really unfortunate for both those drivers. Yeah, part of racing, I suppose. The good thing is we don't lose hundreds of thousands of dollars on equipment and repairs.
A lot cheaper than doing it this way, yeah. Looks like Josh Willis has quite a run on Turner Johnson right now. Through NASCAR 3 and 4. He's going to try to make a move into the final chicane. Just tucks back in line, thinks about it, but just has to follow him through.
The pressure is there. Josh definitely applying as much pressure as possible onto the likes of Turner Johnson, but that's not quite ideal for either one of them, as that is giving Adam King the opportunity to build a gap. Josh flashing the headlights, traditional, what's the word I'm looking for? Typical. No, that's not the word.
Oh, Adam King lets them both by.
That is really odd.
Huh. Okay. Wonder if Adam King is trying to save fuel or it doesn't make. I don't know. Maybe you just didn't want to have the fight, so you just let him by.
But he had a gap.
I wonder if he caught the wall exiting turn 2 and maybe got some damage on the car. And is, maybe just trying to make it back to the pits right now. That's the only thing that would make sense to me, because he's going a lot slower now.
Oh, he just has a bit of a moment on the grass, and what he's doing is just safe rejoin. So Adam King going wide into the grass there and saving it. So good job, Adam. Sensible driving from Adam King.
Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. He'll be able to get going again and not really suffer any long-term consequences from that other than some lost track position. Watching back here as well, the Colin Johnson, Joel Bandera, Cody Wasson fight is closing up really tightly right now as well. Keep an eye on that as we're getting to the point of the track where somebody might try to make a move on that pretty soon.
Yeah, it looks like led by Jace Wright, Joel Bandera, Colin Johnson, Cody Wasson behind this Jace Wright train. All pretty capable drivers. We've seen some fun stuff happen between them in the past. But Jace, having found his sea legs in iRacing coming from ACC, Jace races ACC, races iRacing and LMU all in 1 week. And to be able to maintain such great pace is just awesome. Awesome to see.
I always have a lot of respect for people who are able to jump across games like that and keep the same amount of pace. I do not have that ability myself, and it's something I really got to work at if I want to. I got to limit myself to only really a couple that I can be decent at. So it's impressive that he's able to do that much racing in 1 week across so many games and be able to keep up what pace he has.
I'm just envious of his time. I wish I had that much time. Don't own a community, right, Brad?
Volunteering always takes the most time. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah. I remember the days when we just used to have fun and race things, and then you get, oh, I can help out with that. I can help out a little bit more and a little bit more, and end up creating championships and commentating and doing all the things that never expected you to get into. But what is super cool is you get to watch some awesome racing, like here at Charlotte, with Josh Willis still. Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, it is Josh Willis. With Turner Johnson applying pressure. Hang on a second. Sorry, my timing charts are off because it's showing.
I believe you might not be on the live replay. Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Okay. That was my fault. Still getting used to some of these controls. Just like Jace, right? I'm jumping from a bunch of different streaming categories and having to use different tools for my broadcast, and I'm not quite settled in with this one. Really trying to figure things out.
Oh man, that was really tight. Joel Bandera tried to make a move on Jace Wright. Nearly. You had both of them in a really bad spot right there. They both were able to get away with it, and now Joel Bandera's fallen back into the clutches of Colin Johnson and Cody Wasson. So he flips that fast. He's making a move and now he's defending. So.
And that's what happens. That is racing, and that's why we constantly say it's all about the percentage of risk. How much risk are you willing to take? Is it worth for you to make that move? Maybe it is. Maybe Joel Bandera's move was calculated to say, if I get this move done, I'm going to be able to pull ahead, and then the rest of them are going to be able to fight to each other and build me a gap. Unfortunately, didn't work out that way. while he still does have pace ahead of Colin Johnson and Cody Wasson, Cody Wasson seems to be just patiently waiting. I think Cody would have attempted to make a move, assuming that he has pace, but Cody is being quite patient, presumably because they are the pitted cars.
Yeah, and I've already seen a couple people duck down into the pits since the caution has come out, probably for their final pit stops. I saw Will Brunner come in. Gavin Cambra came in after that accident to take his repair. So you're starting to get people like feeling things out and seeing how things would work out if they did come in and take that final pit. So probably not too much longer before we see the leaders come in as well.
Oh, speaking of leaders, Jakob White going into the pits and Cunningham staying out. Here is where things start getting super exciting. Where is White gonna come out? Now, Jakob is gonna only need to do for sure this one pit, okay? The question is, where does he end up?
And he only needs to take really maybe half a tank of fuel to make it to the end as well. So has he stretched it long enough to where he's going to get a nice short fast pit stop through here? And yeah, we need to watch where he comes out in comparison to some of these people who did pit before or during the yellow. Josh Wiles is the one for me that potentially is in the best seat right now if he's able to stretch that fuel. I don't think he's trying to, but it's possible he still is.
So the gap between Jakob White and Josh Willis is 24 seconds. Okay, that is 37 minutes in. What we're gonna have to do in about 5 minutes, come back and reassess that delta and see how much time has been gained in the next 5 minutes and multiply that by another 7. That being said, Steven has reminded me of something. We are having a fun race here at TRACKILICIOUS, hosted by Steven Tomazic. He's putting together a Mayhem at Monza. People are given the opportunity to vote on the cars to go into this race. It could be anything you like. And I think, Steven, we're going to pick the most popular cars and then have a race with that, right? Post some more details in there if you could, so that we know what we're doing at Monza in Mayhem with Steven Tomazic. I'd love to. Can I race in that one, please? I would like to race.
Those are the kinds of events I always encourage people to race. The first enduro I ever did on iRacing was Dinner with Racers, 12 Hours of Sebring race they did in 2020 when the actual race got rescheduled. And it was, I think, 6 or 7 classes. There was NASCARs, there was Pro 2 trucks, there was we were in the MX-5 Cup car, and it went into the night, and getting absolutely jump scared by an Indy car going through turn 1 when you had no idea they were coming because they don't have headlights is one of the experiences I've ever had. But those are the races that really make you just, I think, fall in love with the game.
That is super, super fun. And hopefully Steven will give us more information about this Monza Mayhem. So, we have Cunningham still up in P1 with 0 pits. Nathan Hutchison in P1 as well with no pit stop. In P2, sorry, with no pit stops. They are the only cars that have yet to stop. Josh Willis being the top driver with a pit stop. Now, that being said, Josh pitted before the safety car came out. So he is going to be really pressed for fuel. But I don't think, from the point of view that we have, from the perspective that we're looking, that Josh is saving fuel. I think he's going all out and then going for a splash and dash towards the end.
Nathan Hutchinson has bailed into the pits this lap. So that leaves just Jacob Cunningham out there as the only car left to pit. And it looks like Tomazic in chat earlier said that Jakob White actually did take tires and fuel on his pit stop. So he sat there a little longer than he probably needed to get the tires, and we'll have to see if the pace difference he gets from that is enough to help.
So looking at White to Willis is down 3 seconds already. And I would guess that if Willis is going into the pits, that's probably more than a 20-second pit stop, which is probably going to put him behind Padberg, or White, I should say. Padberg going on to the under the pseudonym Padberg before, which is why I have this confusion.
One of the interesting things about this track too is the way the pit lane shortcuts the racetrack. It's a lot shorter of a pit lane than you think it is, because the people who don't pit have to go through the chicane, they have to go around turn 1, and then you actually get to skip all that on the pit lane and just shortcut straight to turn 2. So it's really a tight margin, and I do think that if Josh Wiles does have to pit, Jakob White has him covered. But I'm not sure Jacob Cunningham can't take short fuel, since he stayed out so much longer, and no tires, and come out ahead of Jakob White.
All of the strategies now gonna be playing out within the next 18 minutes and 15 seconds here at Charlotte Road Course. Jace Wright still leading the train, and what looks like Cody Wasson has made his way ahead of Colin Johnson, and looking at the next move to Joel Bandera.
Yeah, these guys have. I've been watching this fight now for probably 5 or 6 laps, just trying to keep tabs on it, and they haven't been further than a second apart from each other in all 3 cars. So that's a fight that's going to be very interesting to watch, especially as Jakob White catches them. If he does, because if they can go, then they're going to be quite the pain to get by. And also, Jacob Cunningham has dove into the pits.
This is where we find out, Brad. This is the magic.
Yeah, this is where we find out what cards is he holding. He's gonna play his hand right here, and we're gonna finally see what kind of strategy people have. So I'm gonna keep an eye on him and see where he comes out of the pits at.
How am I behind you?
He didn't go into the pits. I misread that, I think. I thought I saw him dive into the pits, but
okay, so assuming he took full fuel at the start, how far is he going?
I don't think he could save enough fuel over the yellow to not pit. So maybe 50 minutes? I'm not sure if he's able to, if he's been going for this long. If he saved a lot of fuel over the course of the yellow, I still can't see him not pitting. If he's able to pull that off, that is an absolute masterclass in fuel efficiency.
I mean, he's got a 14-second gap to Willis. Willis almost definitely has to pit, which means Turner probably has to pit, because I think Turner went in before, Bronson Turner went in before the pits. So really, he has a 20-second gap to Turner Johnson, who is the lead of the, oh no, we had a spin in the 4-pack.
Joel Bandera looks like this who slid off track.
Oh no. Looks like a potential tap from behind. Not sure if it was closing in on a car already there or what the condition was, but Bandera unfortunately finding its way into the wall. Now Cunningham pitting, and this is where we get to see the real action of what's going on. We get to see the strategy game. Turner Johnson pitting again. He was the lead of the pitted cars.
You're starting to really see. I saw Tomazic in chat. He was saying that Josh Walker is on full speed, so he looks like he's trying to make it to the end now. But we'll see if he's able to save enough fuel at this point. But Jacob Cunningham coming out of the pits. Where is he at in relation to Jakob White? Oh, big crash coming out of the pits right there. It looks like Cody Wassum and it was a Corvette. It looked like
Jace Wright.
Jace Wright. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go have a look at the replay. Just the slightest side-by-side tap, it looked like. Both cars trying to right themselves whilst in the middle of the track.
I'm not even sure they touched. I think what actually happened there was that they just both drove it into the corner really hard and just both lost the rear end. And Cody lost it again with the tires overheated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he just toes back. Yep. But yeah, the way both cars kind of sympathy spun with each other, I'm not sure there was contact. You need a better angle to really see that, but Jacob Cunningham looks like he has come out 5th on track and ahead of Jakob White by 2 seconds.
Not only that, but I was gonna say he had Jace Wright in between, but Wright seems to have moved out of the way. So there we have it, folks. 2-second advantage to Jacob Cunningham over 13 minutes remaining. I mean, that's not a lot.
And still 4 cars in front of them, possibly trying to stretch it to the end, and they're 4 to 14 seconds ahead of them still. So still plenty of things to watch here. Can the 4 cars in front save enough fuel to make it to the end? Can Jace catch Jacob?
Ooh, I don't know. This is kind of wild. Well, let's look at the best lap. So it looks like Cunningham is second faster than half a second to second faster than the cars ahead. So he has the pace. That's his best lap pace. His last lap pace is also a second faster than everybody ahead. So given that the delta is 13 seconds, I don't think he has enough time to catch up to Bronson Turner, presumably, or assuming that Bronson Turner has enough fuel to make it to the end.
Yeah, and one move we did miss right there was Bronson Turner did pass Josh Wiles for the lead that lap. And so Josh Wiles is heavy fuel save mode right now, I'm pretty sure. He does not want to have to pit again and is just trying to save fuel.
Let's have a look at this replay. It looks like he just gets him on the straight here. Brakes deep. Really nice move. Is that the bus stop, I presume?
The final chicane on the front stretch there.
Yeah. Good move.
Yep.
Good move.
Clean move. Yeah, just looking down through the field, there's a couple of close battles on track, but I think the bigger thing this race is that the battle's been in the pits. That's one of the things that's really came out of this is this is probably going to be a race won on strategy rather than outright pace.
Yes, but which strategy, Brad? That's still to be determined. We are getting close to the end. We do have 10 minutes remaining here. And who is going to win out? Looks like Cunningham, a potential. Bronson Turner, a potential. I'm only saying Cunningham on the perspective of, like, he doesn't have to fuel save anything. He could just go full hard, full out, all the way to the end. And if the others are saving any amounts of fuel, that's going to be seconds gobbled up per lap. And looks like we probably have 4 or 5 laps remaining. Quite a bit of time to make up for Cunningham, given that he has 11-second gap to the lead.
Yeah, we should have probably closer to 8 or 9. These are very quick laps here. They're just over a minute long, so it's still going to be very close. He's going to need to catch by probably about a second and a half a lap at least.
And I'll tell you, he's got the pace. Last lap, 1:16.68 compared to the 17.7, 17.6, 18.2, 17.9 of the cars ahead. The pace is there, but he's going to have to make very quick work of the cars ahead to make it stick.
Yeah, one of the things that might come out of this is if the cars ahead have to save fuel and are having to save fuel super hard right now, it's almost in their best interest to just let him go. That is not an easy thing to tell a race car driver. So you will probably see people still fight him, but it's going to be really interesting to see if people's reason wins out.
The question though is from which position are you letting go? Colin Johnson, probably P4, losing out to P5. Joel Bandera, is he gonna want to get off the podium? Is Josh Willis want to get off the podium? Is Bronson Turner gonna want to get off the podium? Because they're not just looking at Jacob Cunningham, they're looking at Jakob White just behind, 1.3 seconds behind, also looking to attack.
Yeah, Jakob White has really kicked it on now. He's been running very fast laps the past few laps, I've noticed. He's been a couple tenths to about a half second faster than even Jacob Cunningham each lap, so something that's very interesting to keep an eye on as we get a quite honestly pretty cool race to the end. We got all these converging strategies like this.
Absolutely fantastic. Turner Johnson, not in the optimal strategy considering that he did pit. He was the first position of the pitters after the safety car, but looks like he ran hard, had to go in for another splash and dash, and that just simply isn't going to play out for him. So the double pit strategy was not the call so far. Anyways, we'll have to see if the people up front will have enough fuel to finish the race. We don't know that yet. We don't know how much fuel they have. Maybe our insider can tell us, our pit wall strategist, Steven Tomasic, what is going on with fuel? Do they have enough to finish? Is the likes of Bronson Turner and Josh Willis gonna end up finishing this race?
Well, we wait to see if he's able to get back to us on that. This fight here between Will Brunner and Turner Johnson, they've been at this for a few laps now. It's been very interesting to watch. Will Brunner has done a very good job defending so far, but I think Turner Johnson might finally get him here into the chicane. Looks like it, yeah. So there's still battles going on throughout the field too. You got people fighting for top 10s. You've got people even, down the order still fighting as they try to get all that you can as this race comes to a close.
All right, the action is starting to take place. Cunningham right behind Colin Johnson, but also having to look behind with the likes of Jakob Padberg just behind. That was really close there. Getting super close to the likes of Cunningham.
Looks like Cunningham is just, taking it a little precautiously into the chicane, and Jakob White was full push and just broke as late as he could. So that was almost a big moment there between the two people who were leading the race earlier.
Oh, looks like White looking on the inside to make a move, but nay, says Cunningham. Sticks the nose ahead and manages to maintain the position with a couple of tenths lost to White here. So Cunningham is going to be super eager to make the move on Colin Johnson. Colin Johnson not a backbarker. This is race for position, but different strategies. Colin Johnson probably fuel saving with a one stop at the pit, at the yellow flag, or I should say at the safety car. But my goodness, it is going to be a tight race towards the end here. So we do have a report back from Steve Tomasic, our pit side strategist, just got away from the crew chief for Josh Willis, and says to look at his onboard to know if he can go the distance. So that's going to be super tight. He's going to be absolutely on fumes as Cunningham looks on the outside of Colin Johnson to see if he can make a move, but he can't afford to make a mistake here. Padberg looming in, waiting for the strike.
I was just checking out Josh Wiles there, and he is lifting and coasting aggressively, is how I would describe that. So he is, oh, and there's that touch as they go through the final chicane there. Looks like Colin Johnson is getting very fighty and doesn't want to give up this 4th place. There's a bit of a touch as they go into the final corner with Jacob Cunningham.
This is playing into Bronson Turner and Josh Willis's hands fabulously. While the eventuality of these folks fighting, and look at Pat White, not Padberg, sending it on the inside, but Cunningham having the inside of the next corner and managing to make it through. And there's a couple of tenths again, and White spins.
He loses it.
My goodness.
Just, there's a bump there as you come out of the infield onto the what is normally the oval's apron, and it looks like the car just, oh, he was catching the car from there. But yeah, just catches that bump coming off of there and just loses the rear of the car. Terrible news for Jacob White. Loses a couple positions there, it looks like.
Oh, we have Willis and Bandera fighting now. Willis not pleased with that move, dropping down into 3rd place. I'm sure that's something that the stewards will be reviewing down the road. That being said, Cunningham still behind Colin Johnson. White in 7th place now, having dropped behind the likes of Jace Wright.
Yeah, Bronson Turner honestly running away at the front right now. He's pulled 9.5 seconds on Bandera and Wiles. So if he's good to the end, he's gone. No question, if he's good to the end, he's nailed the strategy here. But the question is, even with 2 minutes left, 2.5 minutes left, does he have enough to make it to the end? If he had to save aggressively, he's got plenty of time to burn.
Almost looked like Cunningham made the move stick there, but going over the curbs, and Colin Johnson makes the move back in front of Cunningham. Cunningham must be insanely frustrated right now, but that strategy just not seeming to be paying off for Jacob Cunningham. Having the pace, having the fuel, but just not having track position.
Yeah, that's been the big thing there. And it's the kind of thing where in the moment you have to make a call. And it's really hard to want to give up that track position when you're in the lead for the potential of making it to the end. So I totally understand the strategy that the leaders had. But it looks like maybe a couple of the people that were a bit further down the field possibly nailing the strategy and are able to really pull off a much better race than they probably would have had otherwise.
Is this going to be the move for Cunningham? He does look quite strong. Cunningham firmly ahead of Colin Johnson. And guess who isn't too far away? 1.5 seconds to Josh Willis for the podium position. Is that going to be something he's going to be able to keep or lose with less than a minute remaining in this race? Is Bronson Turner going to cross the finish line? At this point in time, I believe that this will be the last lap of the race. Bronson Turner 9 seconds ahead of the following cars. Willis! Out of fuel!
Willis is out of fuel? Oh, was not able to save enough,
Willis!
it looks like.
Oh,
Josh-
no!
Yep, ran out of fuel, just had to tow back to the pits. Oh, absolute tragedy for Josh Willis. Was a single lap short on fuel. That is hard to watch there when stuff like that happens. Jace Wright too also apparently just had a moment. Take a
Jace
look
Wright
and
just facing the wrong way. Heartbreak for Josh Willis, going from a podium position to less than a lap of fuel remaining or needed, and that is something that he just didn't have. D-Damskov, welcome. You are watching the end of our race here, the final lap, as Bronson Turner, the king of strategy here at Charlotte Road Course, wins the race in the McLaren and goes for a victory lap. Joel Bandera coming in P2, Jacob Cunningham in the alt strategy claiming P3. Huge trial and tribulation for Cunningham, with Colin Johnson having track position, not enough fuel, not enough tires, but just wasn't able to get around him. Immense defense put up by Colin Johnson, but ultimately Cunningham coming out up top, but not the top step, just back onto the podium for Cunningham this week.
still a good points week. I know he's fighting for the championship overall. So third place is still a great points week, but yeah, maybe not everything he was hoping for coming into the race.
Well,
Go
ahead.
I was gonna say, going down the order, we had Jakob White in 5th as well. Eric Ang came in 6th. Turner Johnson got 7th. Will Brunner ended up 8th. Kyle McDonald ended up 9th. And Josh Wiles looks like he's being scored in 10th right now.
Wow. Back into the studio, Brad. What a fantastic race. Unbelievable. The excitement, the strategy playing out. I mean, wow, as we see Bronson Turner just taking his victory lap. Unbelievable. Going for this is
Victory donuts on the front stretch.
Yeah, you know what? I want to give him that as we hop back here. You see the lights in the background. Bronson Turner taking his victory lap and donuts here at the Charlotte Road Course. Congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was close.
Absolutely nailed the strategy for the race. And that's something you really have to commend. Being able to make that split-second decision. Props to Joel Bandera and Colin Johnson too. They were on the same strategy as Bronson Turner. So all three of those guys being able to pull off really high top 5 finishes and a win for Bronson, that's very impressive. Being able to pull that off, especially when you're up against the likes of Jakob White and Jacob Cunningham when they were as fast as they were early in the race.
Yeah, hopefully we can get Joel Bandera in here too for that P2 position. But we do have 2 of our podium sitters here. Jacob Cunningham, let's start with you. You went with the alternate strategy. You went for the wait at the safety car, pit later, and then just go as fast as you possibly can. Tell us a little bit about the pros, the regrets, and what you would have done in hindsight.
Well, I would have pit under the safety car. I thought it was a couple minutes too far out from the end of the race, but it ended up being just the sweet spot to where you're just on the edge of the fuel tank size. And I knew as soon as that pit lane opened and I didn't go in, I looked at the numbers like, oh man, I made the wrong choice.
That being said, Brad, as you mentioned, it's the still great points haul for the championship.
Yeah, pulling in P3 is still very good for your points run as you go into Road America next week to try to close out the championship.
I don't think I've ever fought so hard for P3 in my life.
Yeah, Colin Johnson put up an immense fight. Tell us a little bit about that. Did you feel you had the pace? What was going on there? We thought you would have an easier time getting by as your pace from the previous laps was pretty handedly faster. but just couldn't get past him.
Yeah, the Roval is a deceptively tough track to build a run and pass on. Because the only really passing opportunities, if they just defend the inside line, you're trying to pass around the outside of a chicane, and that's easier said than done. So it's just waiting for just a slight mistake, and you can stick your nose in there like I was able to down the straight, and just happy I was able to get that position.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
you were hoping for a couple more before the challenges you face.
Yeah, I was very sad for Josh, but happy that he ran out of fuel on the final lap, and I was able to get this podium place back.
Yeah, and especially in that battle as well, when Jakob White was also running both you and Colin Johnson down, that must have been quite stressful to watch all that happen.
Yeah, to try and keep, like, he was definitely the fastest guy out on track today. Trying to keep him behind while trying to also set up an overtake was very stressful.
Well, Mr. Cunningham, fantastic job, P3. Nothing to shake a stick at. Still a great performance, albeit I'm sure you were hoping for 2 more positions. That being said, we are joined with Bronson Turner going back onto the top step after a long break. Bronson, welcome back, and another win for the Stooch Racing team.
Yeah, feels good. Honestly, there's no way I should have been winning this race or even up in the front. I think I had an incident like lap 3. I went from, I think, close to top 5 to like 17th and was somehow able to claw back. I think there was a few gimmies in there with pit strategy and things like that. I did come in with the safety car and it worked out, but by the end there I was sweating a little bit, worried I was going to run out of fuel. Ended up playing out, and feel pretty lucky to get that one.
One of the things I did want to ask you, it was around that safety car. Since this race ended up being so focused on the strategy, when you pit under that safety car, were you pitting with the intention of taking it to the end? Did you know you could make it to the end, or were you just hoping you could make it to the end when you did that?
Yeah, so I knew that I did a little pit strategy calculations before the race. I knew I needed to take at least 33 liters of fuel to be able to make it to the end, which with the fuel tank we were running, that's about like dead halfway. And I think when we came into the pits, I had like 38 liters of fuel. So I did a little bit of fuel saving just on the safety car lap, which may not even make a difference, right? But I was just like putting around in like 4th gear, 5th gear, barely on the throttle as the safety car was still out. And then a little bit of fuel saving in the way. But yeah, it was definitely, the intention was to make it to the end. It was more of just like a fingers crossed and hope we didn't come in just 1 lap too early, which it played out with the timing. But had we gone 1 more lap, I would have been out of fuel.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to add there, Eric?
No, just a fantastic strategic play there by Bronson. Again, happy to see you back on to the top step, and I'm sure you are as well. Anything different in preparation for today? I mean, it's been a little while, a couple of races, some played out a little bit better than others. Yeah, some mid-pack, some top pack. But today you were on the top step. Was there anything that you did differently?
I mean, yeah, the one thing I did differently is it's the first time I've ever driven this track. I got 30 minutes of practice before, so I had to figure out the track. Maybe that's just the way to go, because it was similar to the last one I had. I had hardly any practice time and ended up playing out. Quite frankly, I don't like Charlotte at all, or the Roval specifically. I just don't like how it drives. And yeah, like I said, it just one of those things where it all just worked out in the end. But yeah, looking forward to next week. I'm hopeful we'll have a little bit more pace there on a track that we actually know and like. And yeah, just appreciate both of you guys for putting this on and making it happen from the broadcast side.
So thank you so much, and appreciate you guys putting on a fantastic race for us to watch. Alternate strategies, great pace, great racing, and I think from now on, Bronson, just don't practice. and go to new tracks and just don't like them, and hopefully you'll win.
If the expectations are low, you can only go up, right?
That's the way. I live my life by that motto.
What are expectations? Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Great race by everybody. Brad, anything you want to promote? Maybe some stuff going on in your leagues that you want to show off here before we sign off?
Sure. I will say, just over a week, we are currently at the entry cap, which is, we have our Sebring 12 race happening. If anybody on here wants to take a dabble into the Forza Motorsport side of league racing. We also have much smaller leagues. We're running a touring car league with a bunch of TCR and BTCC cars right now that runs on Saturdays. When that ends, we'll be running a NASCAR league. So if anybody wants to hop in on that, we race Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. GMT. If anybody would like to check out that 12-hour we're having next week, it'll be streamed on our Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Tora Live. It's TORA Live. We're planning to have a pretty good streamer setup for that. There's going to be people streaming it throughout the Forza category, and it's going to be really cool to see because we have 160 entries in across two classes with over 500 drivers. So that's going to be really, really hard to run on my end, but very cool for everybody racing in it.
Well, Brad, thank you so much for joining me at this race. Everybody go check out the community there. They do a fantastic job. A lot of Forza Motorsport stuff going on. And we got our new championships coming up shortly, so we'll be posting those soon. With that being said, thank you very much for tuning in. We're going to go check out Maz Metal, who was in this race earlier. For everyone out there, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are, and we'll see you next time for some LMU tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Bye.